day, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Prophetic Trumpet. We are going to start a series on a topic that I've never heard addressed in full, in totality, in ministry. And I'm not saying it hasn't been. I'm not going there. I'm just saying that it's not a common topic. But it is a prophetic topic, and we're going to prove that today. This is going to be about a 4 or 5 week series, and I want you to brace yourself because it links to how we ended last week's message on artificial intelligence and its use in Christianity. You may think, how's that going to link to what we're doing here? Well, what we're doing here starting this week is we're going to talk about the Age of Pestilence. Some of you don't even know what that word means. We'll get into that. But I want you to be very relaxed and very prepared because this is going to be a step-by-step process as we go through. I'm going to bring stuff forward in these teachings that are not commonly known, that are absolute, unrevocable facts as reported even by government officials that have been declassified. So brace yourself for this week's Prophetic Trumpet. Now, if you're looking for information on the ministry, you can go to deadlifter.org. That's the blog for the main notes for our sermons. The Prophetic Trumpet messages are not included in that notes section, but you can find access to everything you need in way of Fearless Ministries here in Texas with that webpage. Now, that being said, let's get into pestilence because it's not a common word. The meaning represents disaster. Let's just be clear from the start. That's a very broad topic. It's a disaster. It's mainly, though, dealing with sickness and disease, a pandemic, perhaps. It lacks death, really. In the 14th century, there was a pandemic, and it had immense mortality, killing an estimated 25 million people across Europe, 1/3 of the entirety of the European population. Now, in 1918, kind of a strange time period there with everything that happened in that time period into the 20s, but the Spanish flu of 1918 infected 1/3 of the world's population, leading to approximately 50 million deaths. 50 million. Globally, 50 million. Pestilence is usually a sign of God's judgment biblically. On a nation, though, or even a specific people group that have inherited God's wrath. I want you to chronicle here where we're going to go this week. There's a lot of scripture references. Deuteronomy 32 is where we're going to start. 32 verse 24. The Lord himself says, I will send wasting famine against them, consuming pestilence and deadly plague. I will send against them the fangs of wild beasts and the venom of vipers that glide in the dust. Again, he uses animals here to spread sickness and disease, and a wasting famine. Okay, a famine is a lack of food. Now, there's more. There's a lot more, really. 1 Chronicles 21, verse 12. Remember, Deuteronomy is a book of the law. 1 Chronicles 21:12 says, 3 years of famine, this is a judgment, 3 months of being swept away before your enemies, with the swords overtaking you, or 3 days of the sword of the Lord. Sword of the Lord. Days of plague in the land, with the angel of the Lord ravaging every part of Israel. Now then decide how I should answer the one who sent me. Again, this is a judgment against Israel in 1 Chronicles 21. And the Lord distinctly uses pestilence here as a means to provoke judgment. Let's go to a prophetic book, Ezekiel 7. Ezekiel 7 verses 14 and 15 says, they have blown the trumpet, which means it's a holiday, and they have made all things ready, but no one will go to battle. My wrath is on the whole crowd. Outside is the sword. Inside are plague and famine. Those in the country, they're going to die by the sword, and those in the city will be devoured by famine and plague. Again, a judgment that the Lord uses sickness. He uses disease to bring judgment to his people, even killing people. So Bible, really, let's just throw this out. The Bible speaks very plainly here. Biblically speaking, it means plague. It means disaster. Does it come from the Lord? Well, yes. We've shown this in 3 scriptural verses or passages here. And the Lord sent a pestilence on Israel from the morning until the appointed time, and they died of the people, or excuse me, they died of the people from Dan to Beersheba, 70,000 men. That's in 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 15. God also sent pestilence in the aftermath of Korah's rebellion in the book of Numbers. Yeah. Chapter 16, verse 49. 14,700 people died from the plague, in addition to those who died simply because of Korah's rebellion. That's a judgment. And as a judgment of Israel's immorality with Baal Peor in Numbers 25:9, but those who died the plague were 24,000. So we've covered this. Where is it in the Bible? Well, we've already read that it's in Deuteronomy chapter 32. It's in 1 Chronicles 21. It's in Ezekiel 7. It's in 2 Samuel 24. It's in Numbers 16. Did you know it's even in the book of Jeremiah? Jeremiah, another prophetic book. So how then can you be sure of this? You shall die by the sword, famine, and plague in the place where you want to go to battle. But wait, there's more. There's Habakkuk chapter 3. Habakkuk's not a huge book. It's not a huge book, and yet it is mentioned in the book of Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 5. Plague went before him, pestilence followed his steps. An agent of the Lord. You're like, okay, Dr. Dan, okay, we get the message. In the Old Testament, God uses pestilence upon the people of the earth, specifically Israel and their rebellion. We get the idea that God's people in that day before Christ can be nailed with pestilence. But really, is this pertinent to the here and now of this world and what we are dealing with? Well, funny you ask. Revelation chapter 16. This is post-rapture, loved ones. The first angel in verse 2 of chapter 16 went and poured out from his bowl on the land. The bowl is a judgment container. And ugly festering sores broke out on the people who had the mark of the beast and worshipped its image. Oh, okay, well that's Dan, come on, Dr. Dan, that's just one chapter and one verse. Okay, let's go 2 chapters later. Chapter 18, verse 8 there, genius. Therefore, one day, her plagues will overtake her, death, mourning, and famine. And notice how famine is always tied to this. She will be consumed by fire, for mighty is the Lord who judges her. Now, some of you are saying, okay, that's all Book of Revelation. As you stated so eloquently, Dr. Dan, that's post-rapture. That doesn't affect me in the here and now. I don't have to worry about pestilence. It's funny you bring that up, because one of the signs in the prophetic sermon that Jesus gave in Matthew 24 kind of makes you want to scratch your head there, loved ones, because this is a sign of the coming, the answering of the 3 questions that the disciples asked in Holy Week. When can we expect your return? And Jesus says in verse 7, nation will rise against nation. There's going to be a series on that later this year, by the way. And kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Do we have kingdom against kingdom? That's political ideology against political ideology. Do we have nation against nation? That's ethnicity against ethnicity. That's race wars. Do we have conflicts between the races going on? Yeah, so I guess that means that there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Oh, do we have earthquakes in various places? Well, let's just go back to the end of June, where there was 5 days and there were 5 earthquakes in 5 very different regions of the world. Matter of fact, I think Japan got hit twice. The United States got hit once or twice in Oregon, and I think once in California. I could go on with the other 3 examples, but you get the idea that we are in the pattern of Matthew 24:7. And if we are in the pattern of Matthew 24:7, even what's in the Old Testament that told us that the Lord can operate in these means, that we, the people of God, the children of God, can be affected by pestilence in the world around us. Why? Because we are in the world but not of the world. And we have to dwell in this. We have a testimony here with Smoking Hot Pastor's wife of dealing with a pestilence utilized against the temple of God that the Lord gave her, that would be her body, and that she was able to overcome this by the prayers of the saints and the authority of Jesus Christ in her life. We're going to save that for a later day and leave that there, but we hope that you enjoyed this week's Prophetic Trumpet. It is just the beginning of the Age of Pestilence. Please join us next week as we will continue the series, and we're going to start getting into stuff as this series builds on and round things up and summarize things in a prophetic sense at the conclusion. But I need you to stay with me every week and to open your eyes and your mind as to what it is that I'm going to bring to you that is really unrestrained, unhinged truth that mankind doesn't want to deal with because, well, we don't see it in the mainstream media. Oh, that's probably a blessing then, because all they do is lie anyways. So join us next week for that. We hope you like and share the message. Please help us grow this ministry and its popularity, and follow us. Please follow us. Don't just randomly find us on the platform here. Please follow us. We hope that you enjoy it. We'll see you all next week.